ED.
Oh,
If I said disastrous instead of catastrophe, would that be more appeasing to your listening palate?
I mean, whatever you need to keep your conscience clear, you go right ahead. I mean, I've seen guys backpedal so many different ways that I'm used to it.
My conscience. This is the Believe 49ers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun. Haylock, plenty to get to on this show. As always, we want to encourage you to continue to download, subscribe, rate, and review. We're located wherever you find your podcast. If there's a like or a follow button on your particular podcast subscription service, go ahead, hit that like or follow button. Feel free to get involved in the conversation on social media. A lot of you all chimed in this week over the quarterback talk. Maybe some more chiming in for you after this one, I suppose. I'm at Haylock on Twitter. He is at _Eric Davis _ and on Instagram, I'm at Watch Ray Ray. He is at Eric Davis _____, as in maybe the amount of times they tried to trade Jimmy. I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out there. Anywho, we'll talk about Jimmy, of course, talk about Trey. John and Kyle are down at the owners' meetings in Florida. They had some comments. We'll get into those. But first, we want to remind you, as always, this show is brought to you by the fine folks at Bet Online. And look, it's that time of year. College basketball taking center stage. The tournament is here. The Final Four is here, ED. We're going to get something we've never seen before. That's Duke, North Carolina in a national semifinal. Can Coach K keep this thing going for another 2 wins? We shall see. But if you're looking to wager this year, Bet Online, the #1 spot for all your updated odds and info, along with great contests, including the bracket contest where you have a chance to take home the top prize. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. Bet Online is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Bet Online, where the game starts. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun Haylock. So,
You've actually been watching basketball.
What's up?
You've actually been watching basketball.
Been watching basketball. Been watching the men's tournament. I have not been able to watch as much as the women's tournament as I like to, but saw North Carolina State. I mean, they almost took down UConn the other night. I had some skin in the game for NC State. Not that kind of skin, not the Bet Online kind of skin, but a player from the area was playing for the Wolfpack. So I was
the late tournament I can actually watch. Now that I because it's just better basketball. They can actually play. You know it's true. They can actually play. I actually do like.
Hey, look, you're
college basketball. I actually like a lot. I used to, when I was in the Bay, I used to go to watch Stanford play a lot. I mean, and they were really good at that time.
Stanford back in the Final Four on the women's side. Tara Vanderveer.
I don't know. I haven't been watching any of it, but I mean, I actually had the television on, and there was a game. I can't even tell you who was playing, but I know it had to be a solid 15, 20 minutes, and I think like 2 baskets were scored.
On the men's side?
Yeah, on the men's side. And I was like, I refuse.
Good defense, perhaps.
Perhaps. I'm gonna chalk it up to they can't shoot. But that's okay. It's okay. But I just can't do it. I know all the whole school spirit and all this type stuff. Like, okay, but you suck and you suck. I don't think that doesn't make it competitive and fun.
If Jacksonville State is in the tournament, how locked in are you?
What's that?
If Jacksonville State's in the tournament, how locked in are you?
If Jacksonville State's in the tournament, basketball, I'm probably not watching. Again,
really?
No, dude, it's basketball.
Those are your guys. That's your school.
I hope they win. I really do. I do. I truly hope they win, and I'm all in it.
I mean, I thought it was deep, but this one's deep.
I follow all of my school programs. I mean, I follow the women's soccer and tennis and men's golf. I follow all of them. It's my school, okay? So I get that. But am I going to actually take time out of my day to watch the basketball team play? No. No. If I'm at home, I may go to a game, but I'm not going to stop to watch the tournament. They can't play.
Clearly, we're on opposite sides of the equator on this one. I strongly believe that first Thursday and Friday of the tournament, the two opening, when it opens,
Yeah.
those should be national holidays.
No. Okay.
Everybody should be off work at home watching. Just like the day after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday. That first Thursday and Friday should absolutely be a national holiday.
Let me explain to you my thoughts on Phillies. You know how we both feel about our Lakers. I don't watch them now. You know why? They can't play. Okay, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I at this point of the year, I am obligated to watch, and so I kindly take that I gratefully take that obligation. But yeah, no, it's hard.
I had the game on last night, of course. I didn't watch it. I just passed through. I was like, oh, 30. Oh, okay, they got it under 20. Oh, 30. It's painful, man. Okay, let's talk Niners and more pain.
Okay, so last week I said it was a catastrophe.
Yeah, you did.
I'm not backing off that stance. I still believe that way. You got John Lynch at the owners' meetings, Kyle Shanahan there as well. John Lynch saying, look, if we're being honest, we didn't expect Jimmy to still be on the books right now. But there is no plan to release him. There's no scenario. That's the word of the day, folks. Scenario. There's no scenario in which we'll release him. Kyle says there is a scenario in which he'll be on the roster come training camp. That scenario, of course, I mean, look, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist, some magna cum laude doctor to figure this one out. That scenario, obviously, they don't find a trade partner. You have this is twofold for me. For one, they played their hand too early. I feel they talk too much. Shut up. Like, they talk too much. Like, they put all their chips on the table. They spent all the season putting their chips on the table. And at the end of the year, they had this farewell press conference. Jimmy, holding back tears. John and Kyle, we love Jimmy. Thank you for what you've done for the organization. Meanwhile, he's still with the organization at that particular point. You save that until you trade the guy, and then you include that in either the press conference, introducing the new guy, or talking about that trade, or in the statement that you release. Instead, they put it all on wax. 10 still on the roster. There's that part of it, right? And then there's this other part where it's like, if you bring him back, as I've mentioned, it would be an extreme disservice to your franchise quarterback. And so, I still think it's a catastrophe, in my opinion. Like, because you're at the point now where the quarterback market is dried up. Cleveland is still trying to find a partner for Baker Mayfield, and he ain't even hurt, right? Like, he is healthy. And then on top of that, you're in this situation now where you're hoping a quarterback gets injured in training camp or in the preseason. When you and I talked about this, people don't even play preseason anymore, right? So what are we really doing here, ED? Catastrophe.
No, guys, just listen to last week's pod. That's all. Didn't I already tell you this? Didn't we have this? We had this discussion, and I told you. I can see you're going to listen to me at some point. I just pay attention to the patterns. That's all. We were having this statistics discussion earlier. It's all about patterns. I pay attention to the patterns, and I told you they were setting up the public, the faithful, the press, everyone, all the talking heads on the reality of Jimmy being there and how it could work. Because you said it, they did tip their hand too soon. Not to their trade partners, to Jimmy. You allowed Jimmy Garoppolo to do what I said I have no problem with him doing. You tell me you want me out of here. You told the world you want me out of here. You drafted my replacement and told him he's the guy. Cool. I can accept that. But you left me a chance to get my hands on some more of your money. And I'm going to get it. Got to have surgery anyway, so let me decide when I want to have it and get it fixed and everything, because I'm going to have my surgery and get my arm fixed, but I may as well get a parting gift because I have done some things for you here, and whether you like it or not, you left me a situation to get the money. So that's what they did. They allowed him to be in that situation. Now, what I like is that they are doing the smart thing. Seeing that they allowed that to happen, they are doing the smart thing. They are saying it's better for us as opposed to getting rid of this guy. And you just said it, your own words, quarterback market is dried up. So if you're looking for someone to just hold the clipboard, that's one thing. But if you're looking at someone that can actually play for you, that could actually come in, run your offense and win games if you're truly trying to contend if something happens, because you saw what happened in the room with a really good team when they had no quarterback. Any type of quarterback play a couple of years ago, they still would, with those injuries, they still would have made the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
So you saw what happened. You have one on your roster. You have a guy on your roster that can run your offense and play games and win games for you. There's no reason, I told you this, there's no reason to kick him to the curb. Everyone's like, you just cut him and cut your losses. And then do what? Because you still got to get another guy in that can play. You still got to find a backup. You're going to pay him half of that. You don't have money in the quarterback position. You don't have, because the guy that you want to play, your backup or your starter, whichever you want to make trade, he's on his rookie contract. So you have $20-something million into the starting quarterback position. Miami, I said it last week, Miami just paid a wide receiver $30 million a year. That's a win to have two guys that you feel can play that position for you for that amount of money going into next season. And on top of that, if your quarterback, that being Trey Lance, if he is so fragile that he is concerned about competition, he's going to always be concerned about competition, regardless of the number on the jersey, regardless of the pedigree of the player. So he can't be that fragile. You don't draft him. You don't make this guy a top 3 pick, your potential franchise quarterback, because he's not the franchise quarterback yet, because he ain't done nothing. He ain't done nothing. So your potential franchise quarterback, you don't make that move if the dude is soft in the head like that. So that's why I'm like, this is not an issue. You think you're getting caught up, man, in the Jimmy slander, and everyone thinks it's such a bad deal. I would prefer to have 2 quarterbacks that can play. Hopefully Trey is that guy. You can still name Trey the starter. It's not an issue. Jimmy has no bearing on whether or not he starts. He doesn't control that. Jimmy's play doesn't control that. Kyle Shanahan is going to name the starting quarterback, period. I've told you, you don't win a job, you don't lose a job. Opportunities are given and taken. They are going to give Trey the opportunity to play. And the only reason Trey Lance, and I'm going to turn this back over to you, the only reason Trey Lance will not start this football season is if he can't play. If Jimmy Garoppolo is on the team and Jimmy Garoppolo is starting after them moving heaven and earth.
That's an indictment on Trey.
If that's an indictment on Trey.
Absolutely.
Not on Kyle, on Trey. Not on John, on Trey. First. Then it's going to fall on them second.
It falls on them
because you picked the wrong guy. And I don't put everything on the picking of the guy because a lot of people would have drafted him because of this talent. That's what they do at that position. They overreach. And you got to go out and get a guy. But if he's not ready, that's on him.
See, here's the other part to that. And this is the Believe in 49ers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. We're not even the Believe Podcast Network. We're just Believe now, actually. So
Yeah, that's it.
let me
Just
get the
believe.
verbiage right.
That's right. Just Believe Network, bro. That's what it is.
Don't let me walk into this huddle, like a young quarterback and calling out the wrong plays and stuff
There you
because I can't
go.
get the verbiage
There you
down.
go.
Just believe. John says, and this is what he said. They didn't expect Jimmy necessarily to be on the books, but Jimmy did not hinder them in making any moves, right? The only big game hunting they were prepared to do was go and get the corner, Travarius. That may be true. I believe that to an extent, but I also believe that Jimmy still being on the books may have hindered them, or it did hinder them during this free agency period. Everything doesn't have to be about big game hunting, right? There's still other pieces out there that you can get that you don't necessarily have to swing for the fences for or throw, big bags at, right? You lost a couple of, dare I say, key components on that defensive line.
Who?
Arden Key just left.
Okay.
With his 6.5 sacks.
Okay.
He just signed with Jacksonville.
Okay.
DJ Jones, who has been a stalwart on that line for the last couple of years, he leaves.
Got it.
He goes to Denver.
Okay.
Maybe you don't keep both of those guys. Maybe one of those guys, though, you can bring back if you don't have Jimmy on the books.
And maybe you can replace those guys and get that same production because they were guys. You got to get beyond your feels. Yes,
no, I think that's where
both of those players are easily replaceable.
I think that's the fail safe which they're kind of looking at. But
yes,
from my standpoint, and look, they've piped out defensive linemen. They do an excellent job.
It's one of the positions that they develop better than anybody.
They develop.
So why would all of a sudden losing keys, hinder them? They bring in new guys, even when they get guys off of the scrap heap. They seem to get these guys playing at a different level when they get here.
He's an example of that, right?
Yeah, they do it all the time. So that's the last thing I'm concerned about. The D-line is the last position. There are two positions that just it doesn't matter. D-line and linebacker. They produce. They bring guys in. They find guys that are consistently working for them well at those positions. So that's what I'm saying. It didn't hurt them at all.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
They made some strides in the back end, right?
Yeah.
Ambry came in on late.
Yep.
Obviously, we know what E-Man can do.
Mm-hmm.
He had to be that number one last year. But as a number two, we think that makes the secondary a whole lot better. But at the safety position, right? Mm-hmm. You could stand to have an upgrade there.
Yeah.
Drop picks matter. There's that component. There are things that you can do, from a monetary standpoint. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be big game hunting, but to say, okay, this is the one big piece and this is going to solve all of our secondary issues. Yes, granted, it helps, but I don't know that means you could not have made other improvements in that area if 10 wasn't on the books.
Well, two things that you're still, number one, there's nothing that says that they're finished, because there are still guys like Tyrann Matthews out there that I would love to come in and play because I think that his mindset would fit. I think the way he played would fit perfectly with the defense, and he's a playmaker. He's a big-time playmaker, and that's what they need. I still think you need that at the safety position. That's number one, the assumption that they're finished, okay? Number two, there's a draft. That's two. I can give you number three. There are guys that we talked about like Hufunga and that's on the roster already that was a college playmaker, and it takes some time for that to transfer and learn to play the game. There's nothing saying that guy's not already on the roster.
Played a
So,
lot last year.
so that's what you got to look at as well. There's this assumption that we can go out and just get this other guy, or you need to get this other guy. You got to develop some guys as well. And remember, they have put draft picks into some of these guys that are on the roster that it's their turn. So let's just see first. So add all of that together, a draft, they may not be finished, and there are some potential playmakers already out there on the roster. Let's see how it works out.
Look, I don't disagree with the moves that they've made, and even maybe the moves that they didn't make to a lesser extent. However, there's this stench of
Stench, he says. He
like
said, "Put up the joint."
there's a stench of like we're complacency, if you will.
See, I don't.
And this is a good roster. Don't get me wrong, but I look, the roster, as good as it is, wasn't good enough, right?
Yeah.
So to be in this position, which it to me that's what it appears to be in that. There's a stench of some complacency there, which is it's a little unsettling.
Well, you say it's complacent because you didn't keep guys that are replaceable. We both agree that they're replaceable. So you didn't keep them. You didn't pay the money. See, I think it's better business, and I think it is a smart move when you say I'm not going to pay and not overpay the player. I'm not going to overpay that position, that number. Let's just say I'm looking at this guy and he's number 37 on my roster. Okay. I know how much that 37 is worth to me. Now I'm looking at you and you are slotted. You're my 37th guy. I'm not going to pay that position because I know you're not one of my starting 22. I know that you're at the top of my rotation list, but I can find somebody to do what you do for the number I'm currently paying you. And that's what I'm going to do because that's what that position is worth to me. And that's how you have to look at it. Guess what? If you feel like you've outplayed that, and if the market views you as a player that has outplayed that, take them. But that's the luxury of having a good roster and a good team. You're going to lose those guys, but you can also get other guys to come and fill that slot for that number because they want to be on a good team. They want to be a part of that rotation. Not to mention, you know how to develop those. So you got to look at that aspect of it as well. And I'm not looking at that as complacency. Number one,
overconfidence, maybe.
I don't even think overconfidence. The first move you made, you went out. The very first move you made was saying that, okay, we're gonna we feel like we have to upgrade our quarterback position, so we're gonna turn this over to Trey. So that's number one. So you're saying, Jimmy, you got to go. Now they did it too early. We've already discussed that. Number one. Number two, secondary. It's been an issue. Our corners had all kind of problems last year. What's the first thing you do? You went and gave a solid corner money. We're going to upgrade his position. You don't need to upgrade linebackers. You don't need to upgrade your D-line. I think you need another pass rusher, but go to the draft. I want an edge guy. I want a guy opposite of Bosa. But your interior lineman, you got 179,000 of them.
But to that point, like guys are leaving. Like how many guys can leave before you start to feel like, okay, like sooner or later we got to replace one of those guys. Like granted, Kinlaw's coming back, right? And Shanahan was very complimentary of him and his.
Think about that. You're saying we lost these guys. Well, those guys were playing and they were productive and in the rotation because your guy wasn't there. He's coming back. I
wouldn't quite call him a guy yet. Like he's a first round draft pick.
Well, you drafted him to be the guy. That's the guy that you're going to put out on the field. He's supposed to be the guy. So is it being complacent? Is it complacency to have the mindset that we're right about this guy and we're going to put him on the field? And as opposed to keeping those two guys, we're going to let this guy go because now, again, he's on his rookie contract. That frees up other money for other aspects of the team. see, you got to look at it that way. You got to look at the overall business, not just, oh, these are productive players. Well, those guys, they were productive and got more reps because Kinlaw wasn't there. He's going to eat up those reps. You see what I'm saying? And that's how you got to look at some of this stuff. You can't keep everybody. That's the luxury of a good roster. You want to keep bringing all the good guys on your team, but there are only so many snaps. This is bottom line. Only so many you can get. So I don't think they're being complacent. I think they're making moves. I just think everybody's saying, why aren't they making this big splash? And the reason they're not making this big splash is because of Jimmy. And then, McDaniels in Miami, and look at what he's doing. And then they're talking about Salah up with the Jets, and look at what he's doing. And I was like, well, their teams suck.
Yeah, no, it's not apples to apples. It's definitely not apples to apples.
Well, yeah, you're gonna go in and you have this money and you have all these things. You know why you have all this money and you're so below the cap? It's not because you're smarter. It's because you never had to pay your guys, because you drafted incorrectly and you let them go. You don't have guys going to their second and third. No, seriously.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing.
If the 49ers, guess what? If you didn't have to pay Fred Warner, if you were wrong about Fred Warner, if you were wrong about Kittle, if you know what I'm saying, we can keep going down the list.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
If you were wrong about Trent Williams when you signed him, he'd be gone. He wouldn't be the highest paid talent.
You got Debo, you got Bosa coming up.
You got Debo, and if you were wrong, then cap is not an issue. You have plenty. You can pay a wide receiver $30 million like Miami just did. And someone was arguing with me, trying to like, you know what? I wouldn't say that they suck. When I said Miami and the Jets sucked, I wouldn't say that they suck. They won 7 games in a row, and I said that was right after losing 7 in a row. And I'm like, come on. So what's your mindset? So 500 is great for you? No, 500 sucks. And that's what they are. And that's in a good year for them for a long, long time. So, and that's the same with the Jets. So if you're looking at it, free agency and making a splash, you make this big splash and go after all of these guys and bring in all these names when you have been horrible with drafting and your free agent selection in the past. The 49ers aren't in that situation. So I don't think it's complacent. Yes, they need to upgrade because they're not good enough. Obviously, they're not good enough because you can't go through this like if everything falls into place. We've said it. You need to get better offensive line. You need to get better at the running back position. But maybe, again, Mitchell, maybe you found that guy. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. You saw flashes. Maybe you already have these guys. I think you still need to get a number 1 receiver, but maybe that's Ayuk. Maybe he is that guy. Yes, I like Debo. I like Debo. I get all of this, but I still, Debo is that he's just a player. He's that gadget guy that's going to do a lot of things for him, and we'll see where that ends up. But I mean, I'm kind of looking for the receiver. By number 1, I mean, who's the Devontae Adams? Who's the Larry Fitzgerald, the guy that you can line up and it doesn't matter who's quarterback and he can beat this guy one-on-one and get the ball. Who's that guy? That's what I'm talking about. Who's your Cooper Kupp? That it doesn't matter what defense you run, he's going to get open. And that's what I'm talking about. A guy that you don't have to scheme open. A guy that you can just line up and just say, beat this, get open, make a play. That's that. So I'm hoping BA can become that guy to where, Debo is great. He's really great. But Debo's work is done within 5 yards. Most of his damage is done within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. You're handing him the ball off and you're throwing the screens. But I'm saying down the field who can work it when you need that, since you got a big arm guy. So that's where I'm looking at the team going. We'll get into coaching and all of that at a later date because you know my thoughts on that. At some point I'll say it to the world, but not yet. You're smiling. We don't need to get in. That's a whole different podcast. So because we'll look at that and just see, because coaching comes to play also. It comes to play, and then we're going to see more so than the players leaving, the coaches' losses. So that's running the system and how things are going to be in the development of the players. Do you have that in the building still? So all of these things you got to look at.
He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun Haylock. So last week, you're just talking about Miami. I was remiss not to bring up our guy Radio Raheem, who's down there now.
Yeah.
With Mike McDaniel. Obviously, everybody's gonna remember for the NFC Championship game. I was a huge fan of this guy while he was in the colors. He, health just went on his side. Hopefully, hopefully that changes. That changes, for him when he gets down south. But I mean, what do you think? I mean, this isn't necessarily a surprise, right? I mean, you got Elijah Mitchell. You pretty much assume that even before Elijah, like it pretty much was assumed that after last season that was going to be it.
Well, they weren't going to build. I've been saying that. I told you going into last season that was a mistake. You can't build your offense around a guy who is hurt all the time. You just can't, because everyone looks at his high end. Yes, I know, and that's what you get so caught up on, his high end. But I get you a fourth of the season. So if I'm only getting you a third or a fourth of the season, that high end doesn't really matter. And especially because it's like I don't know which eighth of the season, which fourth of the season, third I'm gonna get you. What I do know is that you're never going to be there full time. Your history tells me you're never going to be there full time. So that's what I'm looking at, your career. So it's hard to build around that. Now, McDaniel, you know the guy. So I wish him well. And when he was healthy, when he was playing, yes, he added an element to this offense that we've always said. Kyle, he showed that Kyle needs speed. Yeah. It's a completely different offense.
Absolutely. And that's kind of
it's a 30-point a game offense when you have that speed back there. It's crazy how it functions. But he can't do it.
Yeah, and Elijah Mitchell brings that dynamic, but not as dynamic as Mostert in that sense, just from a speed standpoint. Like Mostert is like fast. Like, and Trent Williams talked about this. He was on I forget what pod he was on. I think he was on the I Am Athlete pod.
He's one of the fastest dudes in the league, straight line. I mean, it's incredible. But it's like, but I've also told you that. Remember I told you the whole Pete Carroll thing when he used to come in and he would give us. Pete would always give you all the guys' stats and their pro day stats and all this stuff. He was like, okay, I know at the combine he ran this, but we worked him out. That guy was a 4.3 guy. And, we worked this guy I'm telling you, he ran a 4.31 on the grass and all this stuff. And we would sit there. I remember Tim McDonald and I would sit there and look at it like, Pete, you do realize, he's a 4.3. And he ain't all pro. He ain't starting. He can't catch. He must not be able to run routes. Something's wrong.
That part.
You keep worrying. I'm not worried about him. You telling me this guy's damn near 4.2 and we don't know who he is? So the same, this is the thing. You watch Raheem play and you see less and you see how dynamic he is. There's a reason why his career was special teams.
It's to your point. It's the combine comes and people just lose their mind over 40 times. But you look at like the top guys, like the top 40 times run at the combine, and none of those guys are dudes, right? Today's word of the day: scenario, right? And we're gonna go back to this scenario. So, I mean, you said it. You tweeted me. I must have thought it was the hits to the head that had you thinking this was the big setup for Jimmy to return. So Jimmy returns. Jimmy's there in training camp. He's there in preseason. Hell, he's there week 1 and week 2. What does it look like?
It won't look any different than it looked before. You're going to have one of the guys. It's going to look exactly like it looked last season. The only difference is Trey will be starting, Jimmy will be on the sideline, and all of the faithful will be going back and forth on social media saying Jimmy should be playing, Trey should be playing, Jimmy should be playing. It's going to be the exact same thing. So that's all. Every good play Trey does, it's going to be like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Every bad play, 10 should be playing. The complete opposite from last year. That's what's going to happen. That's what it's going to look like. Guess what's going to happen if 10 is gone? The same thing is going to happen.
People going to be wishing he was here.
If whoever the backup is, if things are going well, you're going to forget all about Jimmy or about the backup. If things aren't going well, they're going to be clamoring for the backup. If Jimmy's not here, you're going to be wishing for Jimmy if Trey doesn't play well. If Jimmy's on the sideline and Trey is playing well, you're not going to be thinking about Jimmy. Nobody's going to be thinking about Jimmy. The only talk of Jimmy is like, wow, I wonder if Trey could have done this last year. That's what's going to happen for a while. It'll happen for a while, but then what's going to happen, last year's not going to matter, because if he's playing well and you get to the playoffs, guess what, Trey? Doesn't matter that you weren't there last year. It matters if you win this playoff game. So all of that's going to disappear. So again, this goes back to Trey. This is his plan. They brought Trey in here to start. Jimmy being here or not doesn't change that. And I already, we discussed this on the pod after the pod, before the pod. I've told you. I still think to this day, one of the biggest mistakes they made in the Jim Harbaugh era was getting rid of Alex just because you were ready for Cap to play. Cap was on his rookie contract. You would have had $7 million in the quarterback position. That's nothing.
So why did they do it? Why did they do it?
Why did they do it? Because everybody, the same thing like with Jimmy. He's such a nice guy. He's done so much for the franchise. We want to move on from this guy and give him an opportunity to play. He deserves to play somewhere else. Like, no, you're in the contract.
That's what they told us. But like, what do you think that was the real reason?
I'm sure Alex wanted to go somewhere else and play. So they tell you that's what we want to do, but it's this guy's turn. It's this guy's turn. Now, you're going to try to get that out because you don't want there to be any animosity, especially if the guy's telling you, I want to play. You know what? It's like every other position. When I had this conversation with Daryl Pollard. Daryl Pollard reached out to me. Daryl Pollard is the guy that they drafted me to replace. And I told Daryl, I said, Daryl, you were the starting corner, back-to-back Super Bowls. You had just won 2 rings for them. But they decided that they were going to move on from you. It had nothing to do with you. No more. I said, it had nothing to do with me. I said, they decided that they wanted something different at that position, call it an upgrade, whatever. I said, Daryl, you came in. I said, I didn't take your job. I said, they let you go. They cut you. I said, it wasn't anything you did. I said, you literally had your last snaps. You won them a Super Bowl. And then they drafted me to take your position. There's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can say. There's no way it's going to happen. And that's all it was. And they kept Daryl around until they felt like I was ready to play. Like, okay, now you're playing no matter what. And he's gone. Same thing. Do it at the quarterback position. Why? Because it's a smart move for the team. If you're trying to win a championship, this roster, as constructed, fell apart when you didn't have any type of quarterback play. You got a guy, worst case scenario, Jimmy is not the guy that's going to win games for you. He's not the guy that's going to carry a team, but he does know how to win them. And I heard today on television, someone said the most overrated stat is quarterback wins. Really?
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot. I don't agree with that.
Really? That's the most overrated one? I kind of look at the balls thrown that should have been caught. That's what? That you talk about overrated like stats? Like, come on. There are some of the most ridiculous stats that I'd ever seen. It was thrown in a catchable window and should have been caught and all this stuff. Like, whatever. But wins is an overrated stat. So you go. So that's how that plays out. That's what you do. Yeah, you want this guy out. If he says I'm going to be an issue, it's going to be a problem, and most of the time, it's the organization thinking it's going to be an issue. Players understand there's nothing I can do about that. Jimmy will sit there and like, look, there's going to be an opportunity for me somewhere at some point. Could be on this team, could be on that team. Jimmy's not going to be mad making $20 whatever million. He's not going to be mad. And that's why I'm saying it's not going to be an issue. And Trey is going to play. Trey is the starter. He's the starter. He's going to be the starter. They've said so. They tried to trade Jimmy away. You can't put Jimmy back in that position. You can't put Jimmy back in the starting quarterback position after you just took the keys from the franchise from him. You took them because then you do cripple your incumbent. Well, he's incumbent. You cripple. Well, yeah, maybe he is incumbent now because you gave him the job. But you cripple Trey if you give him the job. Now, started it this way. The only way you even remotely think about giving Jimmy the job, is if Trey can't play. That's the only reason. And if that's the case, guess what? Jimmy being in the building is a very, very good thing.
You're gonna be happy you had him. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just telling you.
There's something to that. You talked about the whole Alex and Cap thing, and Alex getting traded away. It happened to Alex again when he was in KC, and so there's that whole component as well in terms of the need or feeling the need to move on from the last guy, right?
When you just, and I mean, I get it. When you decide, you decide. When you decide it's the next guy, you can move on from it. And you can go there, but the Joe Montana and Steve Young, I saw that. Different levels because you're not on rookie contracts and things like that. Alex and Cap, I say you had $7 million in the quarterback position. There was no reason. Alex was making $7 million, and I think Cap was making $600,000. There is no reason to not keep that there. You have the same situation now. You'll have $25 million in the quarterback position. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever when that's a winning room for you. Both of those guys, it makes it one of your best rooms in the building. In theory, because your number 3 should be able to play.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm at.
That's why he's there, because they feel like he can be the number 2.
Absolutely.
You mentioned something about the quarterback wins. That just makes this whole thing even more interesting for me. When you hear what the teammates say about 10, oh, he's a winner, he's a leader, we rally behind him, yada yada yada. Well, obviously they can't say the same things about 5 because they haven't been in those battles with him. And so all of the conversations or the adjectives, I should say, are about his talent. Guy's Superman. He can do all kind of things. He's wowing us. He's killing us in practice.
Remember this. He wasn't the starter.
Yeah.
So if a microphone is put in front of you right now, if someone walks in with a microphone and a camera and they say, "What do you really feel about Eric? How is ED?" You're going to say all kind of pleasantries because that's just how it is.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell them about the pod after the pod when I get on your nerves. That's what's good. They were asking you put a mic in front of a player and you ask him about a teammate. Is he going to say anything other than, "Hey, the guy wins for us. The guy does this. That's what they're going to talk about." You ask them about Trey. The only thing they can talk about now is his potential because he doesn't play. When you'll say, "Hey, he got out there." I heard Trent Williams say, "Hey, he got out there. He won a game for us when we needed to win," because it's something that he can talk about.
Yeah.
Trey becomes the starter. They will start talking about those things then when asked about it. But you're not going to throw Jimmy under the bus and say, "Well, yeah, this guy's got a stronger arm. This guy's quicker. He's faster. He's more athletic." You're not going to do that. Nobody does that. You say good things about your teammates. You just do, whether you like them or not.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't know that it's necessarily like a bashing like a bash session is expected, but I do think that it's telling it's telling how much these guys like 10.
Well, he wins. You're right. They win
I'll
with
say
it.
that.
Yes, it's very
So
telling, and this is also something that I will tell you, and I've told you before. You know how to make people like you in the locker room, really like you,
make play,
make plays.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So they'll really like Trey. They're really like Trey. We really like Joe. We really like Joe. And Steve took over, and we didn't like Steve as much because he wasn't Joe. Guess what? We really grew to like Steve.
As always, we want to continue to encourage you to download, subscribe, rate, and review. We're located wherever you find your podcast. If there's a like or follow button on your particular podcast subscription service, hit that like or follow button. Get involved in the conversation. On Twitter, I'm at Haylock. He is at _Eric Davis _. And on Instagram, I'm at Watch Ray Ray. He is at Eric Davis ______. That's 4 of them. So, from a partner, Super Bowl champion Eric Davis, I'm Rahshaun Haylock. This has been the Believe in 49ers podcast on Believe. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.